Hi, my name is Owen and I'm going to be doing my presentation on the Battlebox product, specifically the rope. In this presentation I'm going to go through the inventory about the ropes, the safety considerations we want to bear in mind when teaching with the ropes, the exercises we do, including the specific techniques we've used to climb the rope, and then how you would break it down and bring it into a class. So firstly, we have 4 ropes on a Battlebox arena, each 5 meters high, and that means the first consideration we need to have is people could fall. So if people were to fall from that 5 meter height, it could be quite painful, so that's something we need to be extra vigilant around. So if we were to start our round in our Battlebox class, make sure to station yourself somewhere close to the rope so you can keep a good eye on the members as they go up and down. Next is friction burn. If people were to slide down this rope, they could come up with some nasty burns on their hands or feet or their legs even. So this is something we can avoid with proper coaching, and I'll get onto that as we get into the rope climbing section. Finally, you will have maximum 2 peoples in a station in a Battlebox class, and we have 4 ropes. These ropes, outside ropes, are next to these explosion ladders. So there's a bit of sharp metal there which we want to avoid. Now, considering there are 2 people in a lane, they're either going to be next to each other, or one person minimally is going to be next to one of these explosion ladders. So again, something you want to be extra careful and make sure that they're aware of these potential hazards as they go up and down the rope. So as we come into what techniques we use to climb the rope, we have 2 main hooks. Firstly, our S hook, which is where we wrap our feet around the rope and lift it on top of the foot. So if I come around the outside and under the rope, lift it on the top of the foot. Next, I'm going to stand on here with my other foot and use that to create a step. By squeezing this, lifting this foot up and my opposite foot pushing down on the rope, this is going to create a seal I can then move up from. So to show you one run all the way up and down using that S hook, I'm going to take my hands above and start climbing, hook that up, find that step, press up, move my hands up, keep that moving. Now, unfortunately I turned away from the camera, but what you can see now is I'm walking my hands down, which is one way we're going to mitigate that risk of friction burn. It's by stepping the hands down and the feet instead of sliding down the rope. That second technique that we use is called the J hook. So instead of coming all the way around and lifting the rope on top, we have the rope underneath, and with the opposite foot we pull it up, and that squeeze between the top foot and the bottom between the rope is what creates that seal. So from here we step up. So I'll show you how we get up with the J hook now. As you can see, it's a much faster technique. I'm walking my hands down. It's a much faster way of going about the rope climb. To compare the two, the S hook, we have a lot more surface area contact, meaning this reduces the risk of falling off the rope. So it's better with the beginners if they want to try and get all the way up, to make sure if they do slip with the hands, they've got that extra layer of protection. However, the J hook has got less surface area contact, meaning we can move our feet quicker and there's less potential chance for that friction burn. It's got no real contact with the leg, or no necessary contact where the S hook is wrapped around that lower leg. So much less chance of friction burn, and it also, with the S hook, hurts a little bit more because you're stepping on the side of the foot. So The S-hook's probably a bit safer and better to use for beginners, but then I'd be progressing people onto the J-hook as we can move a bit faster and we don't have the rope in our way to deal with. Now, how we progress towards this, we have the ground to stand. So I'm going to start on the ground in a bridge position, that's the hips elevated, and pulling myself up one arm at a time. Then I can lower myself back down in this same way, working primarily our upper body pulling muscles, but also our glutes holding us in that reverse plank. If I wanted to make this easier, all I have to do is bend at the knees, and the more I do so, the more I'm decreasing that lever length that gravity has to pull on me, and the easier it becomes, where I can even use my feet as a bit of extra assistance for those who really are starting to struggle with this. Now, the ground to stand can sometimes have an additional pull-up thrown on top as that extra bit of work, should you be using the more advanced practitioners. One extra exercise we do in one of the Battlebox classes is the prone ground to stand. This one really tough on the core. We start again, we want to create a straight body line, so that's where I lift the knees off the ground and I walk myself up and down the rope, and you can hear the strain in my voice. This is really quite challenging. So because of that, how we can make it easier, just like with a push-up progression, we can drop the knees, lean into it, lower ourselves down, and then back up again. The more we hinge at the hips here, the easier that then becomes. Now, if I bring out this second rope, we have one more exercise that we can do with this. Isn't in the Battlebox programs yet, but it's been taught in our most recent CCEMs, which is a tricep extension. So we want to let the rope drop behind the ears and push back out. The more lower we come on the rope, the harder this will be, because we are more parallel to the ground and we have more weight on the upper body. So those are a few exercises we can use, as well as some progressions up towards it. That focuses on the triceps. Everything else has a very big upper body pulling focus, as well as the core and the legs, specifically on the rope climb. How would you implement this into one of your classes? So we have 3 rounds in a Battlebox class. You don't have to have them doing the whole movement in that first round. Just like complex movements like with a kettlebell, a Turkish get-up, we don't have to have them do the whole thing straight away. We can break it down, we have time. So for the first round, I would advise trying to get a straight arm hang, where they just hang from the rope for as long as they can come off, relax, shake it off, and go again. The reason I would encourage this is the first thing people do when they start trying to climb the rope is they jump into a isometric pull-up, then they faff about trying to find their footing whilst in that very fatiguing position. So just by doing a straight arm hang first, they are using a lot less energy in which they can focus on their foot placement. So the first round, I would just start with just a hang. The second round, I would come into the hang, trying to find their step, and then coming back down, maybe doing one step up, and then coming back down. And then the third round, you can have them going all the way up and down the rope, or you can do it upon the individual practitioner, let them go with their experience. Now, that is the safety considerations around the rope and the climb, the ways we use it, and some extra exercises we can do on top, and then finally how you want to break it down into a class. So that's been my presentation on the ropes. Thank you very much, and I hope it's been useful.